Can I pause for a second and just note that we got Brian on here who's getting Congressman Massey on, and our typical lineup includes like homeless people that believe in Bigfoot.
Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show, your source for common sense politics on the We Are Libertarians Network. The Brian Nichols Show is the fastest growing liberty podcast that brings together people from all means of political thought as we seek to have meaningful conversations about the issues you care about. At the Brian Nichols Show, our goal is to leave the audience educated, enlightened, and informed. And now your host, Brian Nichols.
Well, happy Friday there, folks. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry. Brian Nichols here on the Brian Nichols Show. Thank you for joining us on today's special episode of the Brian Nichols Show. We're going to have a great conversation with our good friend Larry Sharpe. But yes, I teased it. Elephant in the room. Yeah, I'm supposed to be down in Orlando, Florida, hanging out with the team from Young Americans for Liberty at Revolution 21. And I'm sure if you're the YouTube watcher, you're like, Brian, you're in your studio. What's up? Yeah, we had some issues. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to what's happening here with our flights across America, but apparently we're having, I think, strikes. Number one is the number one thing, but yeah, 60% of like Spirit airline flights, which happened to be the one I was going to be taking down to Florida, and mine was included amongst them, were canceled. So I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning to go ahead. And this morning being Thursday morning as I record this. I was supposed to be on my flight, 5 a.m. boarding. And no, it was canceled. It was canceled. So ended up, I was scrambling, and every single ticket that I was looking to get was ballpark starting around the $500 mark. And that was just getting down to Florida after looking at what we'd already invested in stuff and the cancellation fees of things. It just didn't make sense. So what I ended up doing was Chris Goizetta, our amazing marketing guru. He is down in Florida on my behalf because he lives there in Orlando, and he is going to be at the Brian Nichols Show booth. We have for you, if you're at Young Americans for Liberty, please stop by the booth still. We have printed out versions of 4 easy steps you can implement now to sell liberty to friends and family, or you can go ahead and give us your name and email, and you will get that ebook sent to your email, and then you will get one of our Don't Hurt People, Don't Take People stuff bumper sticker. So again, folks, I am so sorry that I wasn't able to make it to Young Americans for Liberty Revolution 21. Blame Spirit Airlines, I guess. Blame me for booking Spirit, apparently, too. But also, I wanted to, before we get started, give a special shout out, and that is to one Michael Lima. Now, Michael is one of our Patreon supporters who I have been saying his name wrong, apparently, this entire time. I was saying Michael Lima. And he came in clutch. And I say, not only did he help make things better, he was really the MVP here, because what he did was he put forward $300 of his own money to help us be able to print out that material, and also to go ahead and get that special order of swag for you guys at Young Americans for Liberty to help, number one, share the message of liberty. Number two, give you guys a resource. And number three, to help us here at the program, help you guys out there. So thank you, Michael, super Patreon supporter, and just absolutely floored and humbled for your kind donation to help us go ahead and actually make this happen. So thank you for giving us some aspect of Brian Nichols Show down at Young Americans for Liberty at Revolution 21. Also, we're going to work on it, see if we can make it work. Chris has got his screen down there. We're going to try to get me on there for about an hour or two doing a live feed. So please stop by the booth. I should be on the screen at some point in time. Say hi. Love to say hi to you guys. But with that being said, moving forward, yes, I teased it in the teasing of the tease, and that is Larry Sharpe. Larry Sharpe is returning to the program. I am so excited to have this conversation with Larry, because we started to focus a conversation on really what's the end goal here. And we talk about liberty, but to Larry's point, is liberty really the end goal, or is liberty simply a means to an end? The argument Larry is making is that rather our end goal should be happiness. So Larry has authored a brand new book on happiness, and he joins on the program today to discuss said book. So with that being said, a great episode focusing on, yes, the things we should be aiming towards, and that is happiness. With that being said, onto the show, Larry Sharpe, returning to the Brian Nichols Show.
I am happy to be here, my friend. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Larry Sharpe, it is so great to have you back in the program. Easily one of my favorite guests to have in the show, because you, like me, we come from the same world of sales. We approach things through the problem solver mentality. I think that was why I was instantly gravitated towards not only your campaign, but also the way that you just approach politics, my friend. So thank you.
And we are also really good looking.
I guess that's the underlying reality there, right?
That's what it is.
Larry, thank you for all you've been doing here, helping the greater liberty world, helping meet people where they're at. That's the hardest part. And I think one of the other areas that we struggle with is really being the best version of ourselves first and foremost. And that's, I think, maybe one of the main areas your book is going to help address. So you wrote this brand new book on happiness. Talk about that. What got you inspired to write a new book?
There's so many different things here. The first one is I'm going to touch what you brought up, which makes so much sense. I'll talk both on the activist side and the youngster side, both of those two. Very often, young people will come to me and say, Larry, I want to get more involved. I want to do more. How do I do more? And I ask them things like, okay, have you finished school, or do you have a job, or any of those things? Well, no, I just want to help out. And my whole piece is square yourself away first. Do that. While I'm happy that you want to volunteer in a campaign or help with some, activism issue, those are great things. I'm very happy you want to do that. But sadly, you might take all your time and energy on that while you're not growing yourself as an individual. So now you spend 3 years or whatever you do, spending all your time on something like this, and then you're burned out. Things didn't go well for you. You didn't square yourself away, and now everything went wrong. I'd rather you spend a whole lot less time and more time on other things that will make you better. Now, there's an exception, of course. If this is going to be your career, like if your career is going to be in politics, then that's different because this now is your career. But unless it's your career, a little bit, and then fix yourself. Because while you could give me, 5 hours of your time per week, which I would love to have, I would rather 5-10 years from now, you become so wealthy and cool and powerful that you have more influence to get me in front of the right people, or you can write me big checks, or you'll tell people to come and they'll follow you because you're an influencer. So that would actually be better for me in the long run than you trying to, rush to do that. But it's the second piece. It is very easy for the individual to go out and try to find happiness in solving everyone else's problems without solving their own.
Ooh, dig into that.
Yes. So when I know I am unhappy, or I am not doing the right thing, or my problems aren't solved, it's a whole lot easier for me to go, I'm going to be the savior of everything else. Because then if my life begins to collapse, I can claim martyrdom. And it's a common thing people do, right? No, I can't help myself out because I got to protect the whales or the children or the planet or the insert thing here. Or I've got to stop the evil leftists or the evil righties or whatever I've got to stop, right? I do that instead. And I don't help myself out. So it's very easy to do that. So I want people to not do those two things and instead build themselves up. Because if we are stronger individually, we are by default stronger as a unit, right?
Yeah.
Every Marine has to work out and be strong. Otherwise, the unit's in trouble, right? So all of us have to do different things, right? Some of us carry the machine gun, some of us carry the ammo, but you got to be in shape by the way, right? No matter what you're carrying, no matter what you're shooting, someone's carrying the medical supplies, but we all got to be in shape, right?
Yep.
We're doing different things, but we all got to be in shape. And I think that's a critical aspect. So then why on happiness?
Yeah.
Because
why on happiness?
A thing that I've said many times, and I think we as libertarians often fail. We think that the concept is our party, our movement is about liberty and freedom. It's not. It's about happiness. The question is, how do you get to happiness? Well, I've got to allow you to be as free as possible so you can pursue your happiness. The pursuit of happiness was literally in our divorce papers from the UK. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness was in it. So I've got to get you to go there. The problem is too many libertarians, we've confused the means with the end, right? Liberty and freedom is not the end. It's the means to the end of being happy. That's what you want to be, is to be happy. Not everybody wants to be free. And that may drive some libertarians crazy, but it's still true. It's an accurate statement. But we all want to be happy. So if we can actually just allow people to be free, some people will choose to lock themselves up. Some people won't. Some people will follow people who tell them to do. Some people won't. Some people will bounce back and forth depending on what's happening in their life. All good. No worries whatsoever. The end is happiness. So I wrote a book on happiness because that's most important. Happy people don't want to hurt others. Happy people want to build businesses. Happy people want to build families. Happy people want to stay in America. Happy people want to do good things. So let's make lots of happy people.
Well, okay. Well, let's reverse engineer to start,
Mhm.
because I love the approach, because it's almost like you're a sales guy, but you're doing it for yourself. When we're sales guys, we often go out and we say, where can we align the service or the product that we are selling to the problem that we see out there? When we see lots of problems as libertarians, but we have to make sure that we do have that product that's going to actually solve the problem, or that service that solves that problem. So looking internally, it's hard, because now we have to get almost into that position of the buyer, where you
Mhm.
have to get uncomfortable. You got to get disruptive with that status quo, but that requires some internal conflict. So, Larry, when you're going through and you're approaching this mindset of trying to achieve that end goal, in this case, as you laid out, happiness, what are some of those main objections that you're finding people raise up to you? Say, Larry, I can't focus on this because of XYZ.
None. I picked the perfect thing. Everybody wants to be happy. Come on. Everybody wants to be happy. There's nothing. The only thing they'll do is they'll say, I may not want to do it, because here's the difference. Here's how we get stuck. And that's why I wrote a book this way. There are 3 parts to being happy. It's very specific, 3 parts. You have to be happy, you have to feel loved, you have to feel respected, you have to have purpose. The problem is, if we have all 3, we're happy. If we have 2, it's much easier to get the 3rd, right? If I feel respected and feel loved, I feel comfortable enough to find a purpose. If I have a purpose and I feel loved, the odds are I'll get respected, right? And you'll get the 3rd one if you've got 2. But having 1 or 0 is a problem. If you have 0, you will become self-destructive. That's what you will do. It's human nature. You will eat yourself to death, drink yourself to death, drug yourself to death, video game yourself to death, whatever. And you'll probably end up hurting others while you're at it, because you don't have purpose, you don't feel loved, you don't feel respected. If you have 1, you can hold on to it and be obsessive. So I only have purpose. That's it. Liberty movement, insert thing here. I'm obsessive to the point where I never find love, or I lose my love, or I never find respect, or I'm so unhappy I get disrespected, or I only have respect, in which case now I become a tyrant. You must respect me always. Or I only have love and have bad relationships. So you can become obsessive if you have only 1. The goal is to get from 0 to 1 to 2 and hover between 2 and 3 for the rest of your life. That's the hope, because the problem is happiness is fleeting. It will go away. That's why it's a pursuit of happiness. But if you don't know what you're missing, if you can't look at it and go, you know, my problem right now is I'm not respected. If you can't figure that out, and with the book, hopefully you will, because it's very autobiographical. I'll talk about all my problems, all my failures, how I've fallen down, how I got back up, all those things, and tactics you can use to do so. Then you'll go, you know what it is? I'm not feeling loved, or I don't have a purpose. I'm struggling. I'm just kind of hovering, so I can't find my happiness. And at least if you get that, you can move forward. And I give you 4 different arenas you can find it. You don't have to have any of these in all 4 arenas. Any of them will do. Either personal, family, business, or social. The home run of them all, the grand slam, is having all 12, but almost no one does. But eventually you might move towards it, and I hope you do. But if you can be happier, we can all be happier, because happier people make better partners, make better spouses, make better friends, make better business associates, make better customers. Happier people make better everything.
Amen. I can't agree more. But I want to focus on this idea of happiness. And I love that you touched on this, Larry, is that you did hint that there are people who they will be happy being told what to do. They will be happy
Yep.
giving up their rights. It's funny that you mentioned they have the freedom to do that. And this actually goes back, all our audience is smiling because we had Dr. Adrian Bajan from Duke University, and he talks about constructal law, which basically states that, and this is the entire law that he basically came up with, that as things move forward, they are by default looking for the easiest, most free way to move. And you see that right there with the happiness being subjective, because if you're not allowed to freely decide your internal happiness, what it is that makes you happy, then it really comes down to, well, that one person saying what happiness is and then forcing everybody to, I guess, bend their will to this idea of happiness that's not their own. And I think that's creating a lot of disdain we're seeing in society right now.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. I literally signed my rights away.
Yeah.
I lost my freedom of movement, right? I went where the Marine Corps told me to go, when they told me to go. I had to be there when they said to be there. So I lost my freedom of movement. I lost my freedom of speech. I couldn't as a Marine, I couldn't, badmouth the president. Couldn't do that. I voluntarily gave up many of my rights, right? But I did it on purpose. I voluntarily did it. And you know what? I was happy. Why? Even though I had given up my rights, I had purpose, I felt respected, and I felt loved. So I was pretty good in the Marine Corps, right? Until a certain point, I didn't feel that anymore. I basically lost my purpose at one point. So I left because I didn't believe in it anymore. So again, even my happiness was fleeting. But we can give it up. But just to get better sometimes. What happens if you decide to check yourself into rehab because you realize that you're being obsessive over drugs or food or whatever the case may be? You check yourself into rehab. You give up your rights to do something. Or you join an organization that has a lot of binding control over you, whether that's a religious organization, whether that's a social organization, whatever it might be, right? You might be a practicing Catholic. And if you're a practicing Catholic, there are many restrictions. Or, observant, if you're observant and you're Jewish, lots of restrictions. You may voluntarily give up those rights because you feel that that structure is right for you. And it gives you purpose, or it gives you love, or it gives you respect. All good. It's not my job to decide how free you should be. It's my job to let you be as free as you want to be.
I mean, we see this in, I wake up religiously every morning and do my 5 a.m. workout. And I'm holding myself to doing that, not because it's fun, but because it makes me feel better. And it makes me be able to live what I consider my version of freedom, which ultimately ends up giving me happiness. And I think that right there speaks to there kind of has to be this push to almost hold yourself accountable. And we see a lot of libertarians, I think, sometimes forget that aspect where there has to be something of substance behind the idea. You can't just talk about it in an online forum. You have to actually not only live it in your politics, but live it in your individual life. And I think we're missing that sometimes.
That's why I was coming with the policies, right? You always see me come with a policy, right? I was talking to the gentleman the other day in a bit of a debate, discussion back and forth, socialism versus libertarianism. And I was providing him with actual policies. Here's how I implement a libertarian policy. Here's a policy to help the most people I can help without raising any taxes and without any force. Here's how I change the environment so that people can freely act the way they want. And what will happen is early adopters will take advantage. Some will follow. Many will follow if I'm right, it's good. And if none follow, then I'm clearly wrong, right? But I create that environment. And all he did was tell me that, well, that's not going to work because this, well, that's not going to work because that. But a lot of his audience was like, oh, this guy's actually saying stuff. He's not just going, liberty good, which is exactly your point. I'm trying to show people that there are ways to, there's stuff behind this that can give us actual happiness and give people more freedom to make choices that they want to make. But there's another piece I bring up all the time. I say, what is so good about libertarianism, about the movement, and about the party is we are by default the healers. We're the healers because you don't have to convert to be one of us. I mean, that's the issue. You can be liberal, you can be conservative, just don't force your views on others. If you're okay with that, well, good. And the joke I'll always bring up is, I'll say, okay, do you tell me that you're liberal? Someone will go, yeah, I'm super liberal. I'm super liberal. Now I ask, great, super liberal, great, good. Do you believe it is the government's job to make the world and the country liberal? And if you go, yeah, then you're a Democrat. If you go, no, it's not the government's job. It's my job through my works, through my example, through my community to convince people they should be more liberal. Libertarian. Same with conservative. I'm a super conservative. Awesome. Do you think it's the government's job to force culture to be more conservative? If you go, yeah, you're a Republican. If you go, no, it's not the government's job. It's my job through my works, through my example, through my community to show people they should be more conservative. And if that's your view, you're libertarian. And that's the key piece to kind of, I guess, piggyback off of your point. there has to be an example. There has to be substance. If people aren't looking at you and going, you know what, that Brian guy, I like that thing he does every morning. You know what, that guy's good. If I'm thinking that, then maybe I'm going to start thinking about how you act and how you think and other things like that. I should be attracted to many things about you.
It's funny because I hear it. I'm not in agreement. This is also a sales approach that you're taking, which I love, and because you're making their issue and their problem your primary focus, and that's something I think we see far too often is that we instantly, and I'm saying we as the collective libertarian movement, we too instantly are focused on getting people to buy the product, to buy liberty, to buy libertarianism, the ism that it is, instead of saying what it is your problem. Where can we start to bring our solutions to the problem to get you to your goal, which if we can solve their problem, then that will put them on a path towards happiness. But their vision of happiness doesn't necessarily have to align with our vision of happiness, and that's okay. That's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yes. 100%, right? In the best case scenario, as a nation or as a unit or as a company or as a group or as an organization, we have a diversity of thought with a unity of purpose, right? That's the goal, if we can make that happen. And I hope the purpose is the principles of our nation. Our nation is very special in that it isn't as built on, thousands of years of culture and history as most other nations are built on that type of background. Ours isn't, or not every nation is, but many are. And ours isn't. Ours is built upon a principle or principles. And people say, well, Larry, look, you can't have people doing what they want. That's not going to work. We're a nation of laws. And I say, that's great, but I'm not impressed by that. Lots of terrible nations have been nations of laws. Imperial Japan was a nation of laws. That's not impressive, right? Lots of nations are nations of laws. And well, then Larry, you mean nation of men? No. Laws change, men die. And of course, I should not be misogynistic. People die. Maybe it's better, right? People die, laws change. Principles don't. Principles are eternal. So instead of being a nation of men or people or a nation of laws, how about instead be a nation of principles? That's what keeps us together. So if we can think about those principles, it doesn't matter what you're thinking or where you want to go or who you want to date or how you want to hang out or whether you like guns or not. Who cares? Can we say that the principles are you do you and I'll do me and we'll be good? And if someone tries to stop either of us from doing what we want, we'll band together and kick them the hell out? Are we good with that? I'm good with that.
I'm good with that. I think your average member of the audience, they're nodding in agreement. So now it's to reach the people outside of our little kind of spheres of influence. Let's enter into those conversations. And I always find the best way to enter into the conversations is to enter into the conversation that they're already having. So I say, let's look at the top of mind issues, Larry. And I want to maybe just as we go towards the end of the show, focus on what would you say right now are some of those top of mind issues that people are seeing, those top of mind problems, and where can we as libertarians bring solutions to them right now from a liberty-based, solutions-based perspective?
Well, I'll see if I can cover a couple of pieces here in general. Number one, to your point about libertarianism, you rarely hear me even say the words liberty or freedom or libertarianism. If you're doing it right, to your point, when someone has a problem, you start telling them how you think the problem can be solved, either through a concept or an idea or a policy or something. And if they like it, they should think you're their party. So if they're a Democrat, they should go, oh, are you Democrat? If you're a Republican, they should go, oh, you're a Republican? They should assume that you are them. If they make that assumption, you're winning. That means, to your point, Brian, you're connecting, right? If they're like, you must be the same thing that I am, then clearly you're connecting. And some of the issues we're dealing with now are actually tough, because right now, a lot of the issues we're dealing with are things like the economy, COVID, lockdowns, culture war issues. This is difficult for libertarians to get in because culture war issues by default are left-right paradigm, right? By default, good versus evil. That's what a culture war is all about, right? Good versus evil. And what's happening is almost everything, not everything, but like 99% of things is simply falling into the culture war paradigm. So now if you like masks, you're by default a Democrat. And if you hate masks, you're by default a Republican. That's just how it works, right? And it shouldn't. It should mean nothing. They should not be related. But even that has become a culture war. Literally, one of the councilmen in my city said, we should all wear masks to show solidarity. That's what he said. That's his words. Not because they worked or didn't work or because of COVID. No. That wasn't his issue. It wasn't science. It was culture war. He just said it out loud. Just so solidarity. So now masks in his world have nothing to do whether they work or don't work. Irrelevant. It's just solidarity. So it's challenging for us. So what I want us to do then is focus on the outcome. So let's say, for example, someone's unhappy about the lockdowns from COVID as an example, saying my kids can't go to school. I'm scared. So instead of saying COVID's real, COVID's not real, lockdowns are stupid, lockdowns are not stupid, every libertarian will just go to lockdowns are evil, it's government, and immediately they turn them off. Instead say, how can we have a system to where the kids who need school can go to school and the kids who don't really need it and can function outside can do that? And how about the kids who are sick and maybe shouldn't go to school because they have a pre-existing condition? How do we get those kids to be safe and still get a good education? And they go, oh, that's great. Yeah. What if we had a system? And now I start talking about a libertarian answer, which is not focusing only on government schools, which of course libertarians can't stand anyway. So now we're talking about other options to schooling, but I'm not saying government bad. What I'm saying is, how do we get all the kids the best education? You shift it into that. And what a person actually cares about, does the actual mom or dad, and I have 2 kids, and I'm sure people listening have children, what you don't actually care about whether it's a government school or not or whatever. What you want is a good education for your kid. If you thought you could magically do it with a magic wand, you'd probably buy the magic wand, right? As long as you can get a good education for your kids, that's all you care about. And that's what most people care about. And that's how we lead them to where we want to go. We don't fall into the left-right paradigm. Are the lockdowns good? Are the lockdowns bad? Because when you say that, you fall into the culture war by default. And they will put you on whatever team they've decided that, that is. Instead, go for the outcome that we all want and discuss how to get there.
Oh, Larry, we could go on and on, but unfortunately, we are already hard pressed for time. So what I want to do is use the last few minutes to, number one, give you the chance to give final thoughts to the audience. But obviously, you also want to make sure we have the call to action, get people to go ahead and purchase this brand new book on happiness. So let's start there. Where can folks go ahead? And I had the link here. It was sharpeway.com/on-happiness. Now, is this where they can purchase the book, Larry?
It will be on for pre-order coming up here soon. It should be done by next month. We're in final edits.
Fantastic.
It should be done by next month. So that'd be good. It's got 16 chapters. I think 16 chapters now, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. I think 16 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. 16 chapters. And it should be an excellent book. I hope you can just click literally on sharpeway.com book, and you will see there is a video there that talks about it. And look, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just follow the show. Follow the Sharp Way on all the Instaweb stuff. All of them. I'm even on TikTok. I'm on everything. Whatever it is. I'm TikToking. The whole deal.
And let's do this. The final thoughts. What would you want as we kind of wrap up here? And, we're going to, obviously, you're a reoccurring guest and we'd love to have you on. But between now and the next time you're on the show, let's say end of 2021 or so, we're starting to look at how the rest of the year's gone. Where do you see things heading? And where do you think we'll be when you're back on, Larry?
Well, first thing I'd like people to start focusing on is stop fighting outside and start fighting inside. Number one thing. Stop finding reasons to blame other people and get mad at them. It's not helpful. It's not working. You're not making things better. Instead, work inside. Try to make things better for yourself, for your family, for those you love. Focus a little bit on the inside to make yourself and those around you who care about you better, so you have a better social structure. Because what is going to be happening in the future is the breakdown of more and more social structures. You see it again and again and again. We are surrendering our social structures. We are surrendering our friendships. We are losing connection to people. Build the connections to your people in your world more than ever. Do it now. It's important. And if it has to be through this or in person or whatever it has to be, literally, if you can take anything from today, call or email or text somebody you haven't called or emailed or texted in a while and reconnect. The connections are going away as we find ourselves watching TV, picking sides, watching YouTube, picking sides. Government locking us down, not connect to people right now. Your inner circle matters.
Build the solution. That is the focus, and the solution in this case is to get people towards happiness. Larry Sharpe, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you, as always, for joining us. And folks, if you are interested in following Larry, on the bottom of the screen here, you'll see at Larry Sharpe, Sharpe with an E, because E stands for
Entertaining.
There it is. Thanks, folks. Alrighty, folks, that's going to wrap up my conversation with Larry Sharpe. Thanks, Larry, for joining the program, because, yes, we are talking about liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty as a means to the end. It is not the end. Happiness is the end. Thank you, Larry, for helping us focus on what is the end goal and what is most important. And yes, happiness can be quite subjective. Folks, if you enjoyed the episode, you got some value from today's episode, please do me a solid, share, and be sure to tag yours truly, as well as Larry, and I'll include Larry's links there. If you go ahead, click the Brian Nichols Show icon or image there in your podcast catcher, it'll bring you right to the Brian Nichols Show website. And when you're on the website, if you're in the episode page, you can go ahead and see, it'll say the guest's name. Just click the guest's name. It'll bring you right to their guest page with all their details, their biography, social media, all that fun stuff. So again, please, if you're interested in tagging yours truly, of course, it's at B Nichols Liberty, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And then for Larry Sharpe with an E. And yes, folks, if you are getting value out of the program, we would love to hear about it. And my gosh, you guys have been so great. The 5-star rating and reviews have just been pouring in. I think we got 4 in a night back this, I think, Thursday or Wednesday evening. So I am so humbled to see you guys are getting such value. So please keep it up. Just it makes me smile, and I know for a fact it makes a difference. So again, thank you. And if you want to share your message, again, it's briannicholsshow.com/reviews. Now we have those super amazing listeners, and those are our patrons. And if you want to be one of those super amazing patrons, I'm going to go ahead and read off who we have now, but I'll tell you how to do that. Right now, we have Daryl Schmitz, Laura Stanley, Mitchell Mankiewicz, Hody Johns, Craig DaCosta. We are libertarians. And I mentioned him earlier, Michael Lima. I can't speak enough of how appreciative we are of his just an incredibly generous donation to help us give Young Americans for Liberty, Revolution 21, some Brian Nichols Show flair, despite my not physically being able to be there with all the cancellations. And yeah, it was just the timing of everything too. I'm up at 3 a.m. My flight gets canceled. I had to cancel my hotel. So I'm not getting double charged for that. And then end up, lo and behold, Chris and I are trying to work on some contingency plans. We're like, hey, let's get this in the works. And Michael reaches out and he's like, how can I help? And I was like, you know what, man, you can absolutely help, because we're trying to get something there. And I was floored. So thank you, Michael. And yes, he does wrap up the amazing group of our patron supporters. So if you want to be one of those just top tier supporters here at the Brian Nichols Show, $5, $10 a month, briannicholsshow.com/support. You can go to our Patreon, and either way, you're going to get one of these awesome Don't Hurt People, Don't Take People stuff bumper sticker. I am so appreciative of everybody for their support, but also to you, the amazing audience. Thank you for all your love and support. And yes, to all you amazing Young Americans for Liberty goers at Revolution 21, please keep on keeping on fighting the good fight. And also make sure while you're there, if and this is for everybody out there too, just please do a moment and go out of your way, because the lockdowns are coming back up. This is an issue that we're going to need to make sure that we are ready to not only prepare to talk about, but we need to be starting to talk about it now. And there is a group of folks called the Sound Mind Creative Group. I've been talking about them recently. They are doing a docu-series called Lockdowns, Follow the Science. There you go. I had to get the docu-series right. Follow the Science on Lockdowns and Liberty. I had a brain fart. Yes, and it's an amazing docu-series that's really helping set the narrative and giving us a tool that we need to make sure we're setting the record straight as this lockdown talk and restrictions talk rears its really ugly head again. So please do me a favor. Go ahead, click their sponsor link here, briannicholsshow.com/sponsors. And you can check out their awesome brand new, they have a couple of new trailers just came out. And also you can support them by going to their fundraiser page. I think they've got over 100K. How about that? Let's get them to 1 million. That's the goal, because that's how we're going to go ahead and make the best content to reach more and more people. So other than that, folks, the one final ask, yes, if you're Revolution 21, obviously sign up to get the amazing ebook, or you can pick it up right there at the booth. But for you amazing audience here at the Brian Nichols Show, if you want to get the amazing free resource that I have provided for you guys, 4 easy steps you can implement now to help sell liberty to friends and family. BrianNicholsShow.com/Liberty Friends ebook, and it will be sent instantly to your inbox, and then you'll be put into our morning sales huddle. It's every single weekday morning. Yes, this morning it was quite early. I go ahead and give you guys a quick morning blast after my workout. This morning it just happened to be after I was done dealing with a bunch of booking agencies bright and early. So you get to hear not only tangible things you can take and apply to the world of sales, but specifically using them in the world of liberty politics. So again, BrianNicholsShow.com/Liberty Friends ebook. Coming up on Sunday, we are going to go ahead and have a great re-airing. And I say re-airing because this actually aired over on one Town Circle. Now, Town Circle is an amazing crowdfunding resource to help encourage healthy discourse and debate by encouraging people to engage in said discourse, because each side starts raising money for charity once the debate has been, I guess in this case, demanded by. And then in this case, I was demanding a debate between one Eric Brakey and Mark Claire on the issue. Was the Edward Snowden reveal of the NSA leaks in fact a net positive or negative for liberty? Mark Claire takes the negative, Eric Brakey takes the positive, and you'll hear all the reasons why and more on Sunday's amazing episode of the debate between Eric Brakey and Mark Claire over on Town Circle. But with that being said, that's all I have for you folks. So it's Brian Nichols signing off here on the Brian Nichols Show for Larry Sharpe. We'll see you Sunday.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.